Welcome to the mid-year Wake Up Newport gathering. My name is Rush Hill, and I'm chairman of the Governmental Affairs Committee, and pleased to serve as MC for the group. And I'm very impressed with the group this morning. I didn't have to go shh. We'll wait for Jim to take a picture.
I just took it at the time.
Okay, thank you. We have an exciting morning for you. We're going to put on our passports and leave the city of Newport Beach and learn a little bit about our neighbor, but we'll do more with that. What I'd like to do first is introduce the chairman and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, the business mayor of the community, Steve Rosansky.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you, Rush. It's finally getting it straight here. That's great. So welcome to our, June 1st edition of Wake Up Newport. I'm Steve Rosansky, President and CEO of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to our beautiful library here in the Friends Room. We got a great program for you with the mayor of Costa Mesa, and Rush will introduce her in a minute. But first I want to introduce, and we had a long list of them this morning, some of our VIPs type persons that are with us this morning. So I'll start out with our own city council members. We have Diane Dixon, former mayor and current city council member. We have Will O'Neill with us, council member Will O'Neill. Will's going to bookend the day with us tonight. He's got a little speaking role at our athletic awards dinner, so we're going to see him tonight as well. We have two former mayors with us that I serve with on city council, Keith Curry and Ed Sellich. Rush didn't tell you that, but he's also a former mayor, and I served with him for a couple years as well. We have a council member from Costa Mesa, John Stevens, new council member in Costa Mesa. Our new fire chief, Chip Duncan, back there. And we also have his counterpart in Costa Mesa, Dan Stefano, fire chief, back there. Our deputy city manager is with us, Rob Houston. Paul Blank with the Harbor Commission, right there. And last but not least, Pierce Swan with the Irvine Ranch Water District. So now I want to invite, I'm sorry? Oh, well, okay. Simone's usually not up in the level of the VIPs. Where's Simone Jurgis? Simone, stand up. Come on. No, stand up, Simone. Actually, Simone's my hero. He's with the planning department and building department, community development, and he helped me with the project that I worked on, and we parlayed that into a new office for the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you, Simone. Yeah. Okay, so I want to introduce our sponsor of our series this year, Dee with the Credit Union of Southern California. Dee, where are you? Why don't you come up and say a few words to the audience here? Those of you who don't know, in the connection between this facility and our beautiful city hall is like kind of a tunnel, and not a tunnel, but a connection, and that's where the branch of the credit union is located, right across from the coffee shop there. So why don't you come and tell us what you do over there?
Good morning. My name is Dee Manhaji, and I am the branch manager of the branch, as Steve said, up here in the library. I'm with Credit Union of Southern California, and we are a full-service financial institution serving Orange County, LA County, and San Bernardino. We have 18 branches, and as I said, full service. We can do it all. If there's anything that I can help you with, please stop by and see me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. And then we also, if you've enjoyed some of the baked goods back there from Corner Bakery, they were hosted by Will at Moskalik. He's with Pick My Solar. Will, why don't you come up and quickly tell us what you guys are doing over there? I was telling Will they were my competitor at Corner Bakery when I was in the Togo's business, but I think we did a better job.
I bet you did, Steve. Yeah. Thanks. So yeah, Will Moskalik from Pick My Solar, guys. Nice to meet you. We recently joined the chamber a couple months ago, so if you haven't heard of us, we're an online marketplace in the solar industry. We're a startup out of LA where we allow homeowners to shop comparatively online the top regional solar installers in their area. We competitively, price their quotes out for you, offer independent guidance, and help you find the best fit. So we're growing in the area. If you know anyone looking for solar or perhaps employment, definitely reach out to me. You guys will notice I have a sheet pretty much on all these chairs. Feel free to grab that. It's got my contact information on it and a little bit about our company. But enjoy this morning. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Will. So I'm going to turn it back over to Rush. I see we've got the Mayor Katrina Foley with the state of the city. So I imagine this is probably going to be some kind of a preview of a big event. The mayor's, I'm sorry?
Where's this?
I'm going to tell you.
She's going to tell you about that. That's a surprise, Stan. Oh, we had a last-minute arrival. Councilmember Jeff Herdman's back there. Thank you, Jeff, for coming. I think we almost have a quorum now, huh? Just about getting close. And maybe if we combine the two councils, we've got a whole city council. In any event, I'm going to turn it back over to Rush. He's going to introduce our guest speaker this morning. Thank you.
That is pretty.
Well, we are, excuse me, we are pleased to have with us this morning the mayor of Newport Beach. With several mayors of Newport Beach, but more importantly, the mayor of Costa Mesa, Katrina Foley, and we have an individual with us that has dedicated her life to public service in education and at the civic level. She has 2 children that she has marshaled through the systems, went to public schools herself, and that's where she gets a great belief in the quality. Her one son is graduating this year from university. That's like getting a pay raise, right, the day after graduation. And the other one is a junior at Costa Mesa High School, I believe. She has led in education. She has been on the city council. I think this is her 3rd pass at the city council in Costa Mesa, where she has always carried a strong role of leadership, and today rules the majority, I think one might say on the council. I'm not going to get any further than that in the concept of local politics. But she's here today, and she's going to touch on the new slow growth ordinances that Costa Mesa has moved forward with, the very controversial marijuana ordinances. They're struggling with group homes like Newport did a few years ago, public safety, attracting partners to the city for public-private partnerships, and ballot box changes, which I'm very interested in hearing. So please give a Newport Beach welcome to the mayor of Costa Mesa, Katrina Foley.
Well, thank you. It's so great to be here. I'm actually honored to be able to be invited from a neighboring city to come over and speak to you. So my son, he's not quite graduated yet, but he's graduating from his 1st year of college. So we are all ecstatic about that. We made it through almost. We got a couple more weeks to go. But yeah, my son Sam is at UCSB this year, and it's just been an exciting time for us in our household. But so why public service? You know, I grew up in Ojai, California. I don't know if any of you know that area. I got most school service in 8th grade, and at the time that was really not that exciting to me. My friends were getting more popularity type of accolades, and I didn't really understand that that was really part of who I was, that I was really committed to public service. And in Costa Mesa, we have so many volunteers and so many residents who are actively involved in our city. And so it was just natural for me as a resident there to get involved. We have recently had an election, as you all know, and there were a lot of different measures. I think there were something like 8 measures just for the city of Costa Mesa on the ballot. The residents engaged, and then there were countermeasures, and so we had a lot of changes in our city. We voted as a city for what some people call a smart growth initiative, some people call a slow growth initiative, but it's an initiative that is similar to something that you have in Newport Beach called Green Light. And so the residents had enough of what they considered to be some overdevelopment in the community, in all the wrong places, and also the traffic. I mean, I think we all know that the communities that we live in are really now congested with traffic. And so there's things that we have to do as communities and leaders to address those traffic concerns. But the residents initiated a initiative called Measure Y. And they felt that that was the way to address the traffic and and the overbuilding. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what are we doing as a city to make sure that we can continue to have progress and redevelopment and repurposing of some of our tired areas, but also still work within the framework of what the voters of the city decided is how they want to see the future of the city developed. We also had Measure X, and Measure X was the marijuana initiative. We do not allow dispensaries in Costa Mesa. However, there was two ballot measures that had enough signatures for the measures to be on the ballot, and they would have allowed dispensaries throughout the city. They would have, I think, really impacted our community greatly because of that. The council put forth a countermeasure, and one of the authors of the dispensary measures actually supported the countermeasure, and the countermeasure allowed for research and development of marijuana in a specific location in the city. So if you are heading up north on Harbor Boulevard and west of Harbor Boulevard, north of the freeway, all that sort of business industrial park area is now the only area in the city where you could have a research and development marijuana facility. We've gone through a great deal of effort to put a lot of requirements on those operators to reduce any potential impacts on the adjacent businesses. There's a conditional use permit process, and it costs upwards of $50,000 to get through that process. It's a very extensive process that includes background clearances and special permits, so that we have operators who are going to ensure the quality of life for our community and not create additional negative impacts that will require extra public safety services. That's a big issue for us. Impacts on the adjacent businesses, as well as public safety services, the ancillary impacts that we're concerned about. It's a new, this is all new, and it's a learning curve, and we want to take it very slowly. But I've been meeting with a lot of business owners who, some people have already rented property in that area for months. They've been paying rent. They don't even have a right to have a business there, but they wanted to get in early. So it's going to be an interesting process, how it all works out. Maybe next year I can come back and tell you how it all panned out. We do have a sales tax component connected to that, and so we expect that will generate a great deal of revenue for our city. And then there is Measure EE, and that was our ballot measure that allowed for directly elected mayor, which right now we have, much like Newport has, is where we appoint the mayor from our city council majority. And then in 2018, we will now go to a directly elected mayor. And we have 6 districts, and those districts are neighborhood districts. So there's about 22,000, 23,000 people in each of the districts. You have to live in the district, and only the people who live in that district, that neighborhood, will vote on you to be on the city council. The idea is that will allow more engagement by more people, because it's a very expensive task to run for city council. In Costa Mesa, there's upwards of 57,000 voters. It's a pretty large, geographically large area, and it's very expensive to do mail to get to all the voters. It's hard to walk, across the whole city. And so the idea is that more new voices will be able to engage in civic government, because they will be able to be elected from their neighborhoods. And then we'll have more representation across the whole city by people who live in different parts of the city, as opposed to, like right now, we have 3 people who live in Mesa Verde on the 5-member council. I live in what's called Mesa del Mar, and Alamonsor lives in the sort of South Coast metro area. So right now, the majority of our council members live in one neighborhood. This would allow for more representation to the whole city. And we got sued, or we prevented a lawsuit, let's just say. We were going to get sued if we didn't do something. We went through a whole process of community meetings, and we ended up with the prior council majority voting on this particular plan to put on the ballot. And the voters approved it, and now we are implementing it. So that'll be happening in 2018, and we'll see, I think we'll see a lot of changes over the next 2 election cycles in Costa Mesa. It's not going to be the same old familiar faces every single time, because the incumbents won't have as strong of a ability to win in those areas. For example, I'm in District 3, and I could probably walk my district 10 times because it's such a small district now. So that was one of the big changes. That's going to be a significant change for Costa Mesa and in the future. I think it'll bring more representation. That's my view on it. Then we also had Measure AA, and Measure AA, and then it had a counter. Every one of these measures, by the way, with the exception of Measure EE, which was the election measure, every single measure had a countermeasure. So it was very confusing, I think, for the voters. It's tough when there's a measure and a countermeasure, and they kind of sound the same, and you're reading it, you're not really sure what is the real difference. It takes a very informed voter to navigate through that process. But Measure AA was regarding Fairview Park. How many of you have been to Fairview Park? Raise your hand. Great, this is wonderful. So Fairview Park is our sort of like comparable to your Back Bay, and it's a nature park. And the voters, again, this was a resident-initiated measure because there were a group of residents who felt that some of the council decisions were impacting the park and its natural state. And there was some discussions about putting sports fields there. I'm a huge sports advocate. I have a quarterback. I have, my kids have played all sports, but sports fields are not the right place at Fairview Park. And so there was a group who felt very strongly, and they went out and they walked door to door, and they got the voters to say that we want this on the ballot, and it passed overwhelmingly, something like 70%. Mr. Huffman, am I right, about 70%? Yes, okay. So 70% of the voters, that's hard to get that much support for something, and that means that people really cared about that issue. And so now we have protections in place for Fairview Park, and it won't be any sports fields. If it is to be sports fields, it's going to be voted on by the people, and that's the protective piece. Fairview Park is off of Placentia, right next to Estancia High School. Yeah, it's a beautiful park.
Land there.
That's right. There's a lot of land there. So those are sort of the updates on what are the measures and how did they affect the outcome of the election. And then we elected a new majority on the city council. John Stevens got elected in the last election. Sandy Guinness, who was on the council, got reelected. And I was already on the council. But then with the two of them, we became the new majority on the city council. And it's a more diverse council now, I think, in many respects. We made a lot of changes at that time. When I got sworn in as mayor in December, and between then and now, we have made a lot of changes. The council direction at that time was really to reduce our staffing. We had 90 vacancies. We were budgeted, but we had 90 vacancies because we had so many people leaving our city to go to other cities like Newport Beach. You guys took a lot of our employees. And we had something like 14 to 15 vacancies in our fire department. We had 30 vacancies in our police department. And at a time when we were seeing crime rise because of a lot of different factors that were beyond our control, like Prop 47 and 57 and things that were happening at the state level that caused impacts in our community, impacts caused by what I know that you in Newport have dealt with, recovery homes, and I'm not talking about all recovery homes, but there are, and there's been a lot of great exposés in the Orange County Register over the last couple weeks, but there's a whole handful of recovery homes that I would deem as bad operators. They really are all about profit and not about patient care. And they are recruiting people from out of state who are addicts and who are troubled and need help. And they are bringing them into our communities, and then when their insurance runs out or when they have a problem where they're living in their recovery home, they're just booting them out onto the curb. And it is absolutely appalling, and we as a city council are unified in not tolerating that anymore in our community. You see a lot of additional homeless in the city over the last couple of years, and that we're able to tie that directly back to some of these recovery homes who are what I deem bad operators. Now, that is not to say that every recovery home operator has that practice and does that, but there's certainly a growing industry where it's just about, getting in as many people as possible, getting the money, and if they aren't meeting the program needs or if their insurance runs out, kicking them out. So we embarked on an effort to really address that, and we changed a lot of our rules and regulations, and we are really going after those operators to prevent them from operating in our city. I've been to Sacramento to help with some state legislation that would assist us in that effort, and to give cities across Orange County and California stronger ability to regulate what is a growing industry that is not it's not really based on sort of the old rules of we want to just have some people living in a home in a regular residential neighborhood so that they can be part of that neighborhood. And instead of now it's turning whole streets in neighborhoods into business centers. And really my biggest concern is the impact even on those residents who are living there in those homes and how they're being treated. So we're working on that. But when I became mayor, one of the goals that I had was to make sure that our council felt like everybody on the council could be included in the discussion, could propose projects, and could be part of setting the priorities for the city. So what we did was we had a retreat, and we went and spent an afternoon at the Hilton, got out of City Hall so that we could, have a dialogue, and we decided on some priorities. And we're going to talk about those priorities in a moment, but those priorities we all agreed on. All 5 of us agreed that these were the priorities that we wanted for the city. So everybody could have their fingerprints on these priorities. And then we embarked on giving those priorities to our city staff and having our budget document guide have those priorities guide the budget so that our resources are directed towards those priorities. It also helped because we all have a lot of ideas. Every one of us has a million ideas, and we could spend the whole day in our city manager Tom Hatch's office and come up with a million projects for him, but there's only so much time in the day, and staff only has so much time that they can give. So we need to focus and prioritize, and this helps us do that. Some of those priorities benefit Newport, because one of our top priorities is public safety. And Newport and Costa Mesa share a lot in terms of mutual aid in the bordering areas. Our police and fire often have to go out on calls with each other. We also rely on the Orange County Fire Authority. So we really made it a top priority to take care of public safety. Oh, not there yet. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's okay. And our main focus was increasing our staffing and making sure that we are recruiting and retaining quality police officers and quality fire safety officers. It takes about 6 months to hire a police officer. It's really hard, and it should, because You don't want to be that city that we read about or see on the news where your police officers are not serving your community well and they're beating people up and things of that nature. So we want educated officers who are well-trained, who pass serious background clearance and psychological testing so that they can be good ambassadors and stewards in our community and protect our residents and our people traveling through our city. So that was a top priority for us. That's a way we partner with Newport Beach as well. We also partner because we have the Newport Mesa Unified School District. So we share a school district, Newport and Costa Mesa. Newport Harbor, I see lots of students here today from Newport Harbor. Newport Harbor has about 60% of the kids at Newport Harbor live in Costa Mesa. So it's definitely a place where we share our goals towards education. We share the 55 and Newport Boulevard. These are areas where I think we could partner better to develop ways that we could reduce traffic and congestion on the 55 Newport Boulevard. Bristol Street is a shared street that is going through both of our communities. Our chambers work really well together. I see Eileen Benjamin from Costa Mesa Chamber here. She's our new executive director. She's doing a great job. And I've seen Mr. Rozansky out at many of our chamber events of late, so it's nice to see the chambers partnering. 17th Street, that's a really great shared retail and restaurant corridor for our communities. And then the Hoag Hospital District. That's an area where we have a shared interest as well, because whatever development is going on in that area impacts Costa Mesa and vice versa. So we have a lot that we can do together. Right now I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about what's happening in Costa Mesa. This right here, I know you're anxious to know where this is, so I'm going to skip right to that. This is actually an existing building. Can anybody tell me, and then nobody who I already told where this is, but can anyone tell me where this building is right now in Costa Mesa? Nope. This is actually the existing Costa Mesa Library. Yes, but it's got all the books taken out for the purpose of this picture. It's a rendering of what the future Costa Mesa Community Center will look like, because we're moving the library, we're building a new one, and I'm gonna get to that. But this is an existing building, it's already there, it's a beautiful architecturally designed building, and we're gonna start making sure everyone knows about this building, and it's gonna become a community center.
Where is it?
It's at Lions Park. Lions Park, which is Airplane Park, sometimes referred to. It's where the downtown community center is, off of Center Street, Monrovia, 17th, in that area. Park, yes. It's behind what's called the courtyards. Do you know where Davidson Field is, or the little baseball field? No? We'll have to take you on a tour. Okay. I'm taking you on a tour. Okay. So, you know, we have a lot to offer. Costa Mesa is the city of the arts. You know, here's all the stats on the city. But we have 3 golf courses, 32 parks, 20 public schools, 3 libraries, 8 institutions of higher learning. We have Orange Coast College. We used to have Whittier College, now it's leaving. We have Vanguard University, National University, and some other online universities. You know, we have the Orange County Fair and Event Center. I mean, these are huge in our city. And we have South Coast Plaza, you know, your rival for the shopping sales tax revenue dollars. South Coast Plaza is turning 50 this year, and it's amazing. I'm turning 50 this year, but I don't have the same amazing accomplishments. But every year, they exceed the prior year. During the recession, they saw an increase. It was the best year they ever had, several years in a row during the recession. The rest of us are tightening up and kind of losing, and South Coast Plaza continues to exceed everyone's expectations. They've become dubbed a shopping resort. You're not even allowed to, if you're on the city council, John, make note of this, you're not allowed to refer to South Coast Plaza as a mall. They are a plaza, a shopping resort. So, but they just really we're just so lucky for the vision that Henry Segerstrom had for our city and for South Coast Plaza, because it is really a driving force behind our generation of revenue for Costa Mesa. And there's a lot of changes happening at South Coast Plaza. As part of their 50-year celebration, there's a history of sort of the farming community that was before South Coast Plaza. On June 13th, that exhibition is opening at the plaza, and I'd encourage you all to go check it out. Okay, here we talked about earlier some of our top priorities. We agreed on all of these priorities. The top ones were improve our public safety, resolve the sober living home, homeless solutions, maintain sound fiscal responsibility and policy. We have a goal of a balanced budget. We have goals for making sure we have money in our reserves. Right now we're at $55 million just in our general fund reserve, and that's not counting all of the other little pots of money where we reserve money so that we can save it for a rainy day. We want to make sure our parks and recreation are improved. We have partnerships with our local schools. The city funds more than $1 million a year in partnerships with our local schools. We give $75,000. We were giving $75,000 a year to our 3 high schools, Newport Harbor, Costa Mesa, and Estancia, for community-wide facility improvements that would also benefit the schools, but the community as well. And now what we've done is that $225,000 is getting divided up amongst all of the schools in the city, so that will every year any school in the city can have access to some of that money to benefit the community, the greater community, but those schools as well. We support a smart camp every summer where we pay about $65,000, and kids can go for free to camp at Costa Mesa High School. They can learn about art, theater tech, music. There's an orchestra program, science, engineering, and sports. So we are really investing in our kids and education in partnership with the Newport Mesa. We also share an SRO officer, a school resource officer. They pay half the salary for that, and it's for 2 people. And we just have done a lot to help partner with the schools, because if good schools make great communities. Public safety, we have, like I said, more cops on the street. That number's wrong. I got a report this morning. So Mr. Stevens and I, we work out in the morning at 5 a.m. He drags me out of bed and picks me up at 4:40 so that we can go work out. And then he drops me at Starbucks, and then I meet my husband there who's working out somewhere else. And usually we have a couple police officers sitting in that Starbucks, so we get an update. So this morning I got the update. We're at 118. We're budgeted for 136. We're at 118 now, and we have 7 officers in the academy and 2 lateral officers that are pending. So that gets us to 127. When we took over in December, like I said, we were 30 officers down. We've made this a priority. We've given the tools to the chief and to his team to hire more officers. They have an aggressive recruitment plan. Anyone here want to be a police officer? Let me know. Our police have the unique, much like in Newport, because we have Fashion Island and South Coast Plaza, they work really closely with Homeland Security. And we have a whole team that works with Homeland Security to keep us all safe. We have expanding Police Explorers program as well. We're trying to bring back our specialty units. You know, when we lost all the police officers, we lost our canine unit, we lost our narcotics unit, we lost a lot of our gang task force and our detective units, so we're trying to bring that back. We've had a lot of success this year under Chief Sharpneck and his team in solving some old crimes as well. Fire station upgrades. This is another way that we're investing in our community. The Chief Stefano back there, he's very excited about this. We had this old tired fire station on Royal Palm and Adams right next to the post office. Some of you may have known it. It literally should not have been lived in at the point that we tore it down. It was bad. And now we're getting this beautiful new fire station. you see this unisex bathrooms. Everyone's like, what? Why do we need that? Well, we have women firefighters, and the women firefighters did not have a place where they could go and have privacy to, take a shower. So they'd have to have this, sort of set up where everyone would be on watch to let them know that they're taking a shower. So now we will have, gender neutral bathrooms and showering areas so that the women firefighters, and we're going to see an increase in women firefighters, and so we want to make sure that we're providing for their needs because they live at the fire station. And here we've just hired 14 new firefighters, 13, I apologize, and we are really getting staffed up, so we're very excited about that. We have a new transport model coming. Newport Beach has a transport model where you have ambulance service, and the ambulance service creates revenue for your city. Costa Mesa, we voted this spring to bring such a system to our city so that we can generate some revenue that helps to cover the cost of our fire department and also provides a better quality of service for our residents. Here's the Lions Park project. This is the rendering of the new building that we're tearing down the old community center building. How many of you have been to the downtown community center? Okay, so you know the building I'm talking about. It would have cost us upwards of $11 million just to retrofit the building if we were to make any improvements. And that was just before we started tearing things out and making the improvements. So it really wouldn't have been a wise investment to just try to retrofit that old building. It wasn't up to code. It was really just a tired old building. And so July 1st, we have our groundbreaking for this new project. I think this project, we're creating a 1-acre park there, which is a huge benefit to Westside where there's no parks. This will bring a great park. We're going to plan to program it with concerts and movie nights and activities for the community. We're adding a little cafe. So this will be like a kiosk cafe to allow for people to gather and enjoy time at the park. You'll be able to check out, bocce ball or cornhole and play board games. And we think this will be a nice addition to the area. More people in parks, more activities in parks deters crime in parks. And so we believe that this new addition here will really improve that park there. And then here's the meeting area we talked about. It'll be a really nice addition. I met recently with the sort of the broker and the developers for the courtyards, which is across the way, which right now it has this back parking lot to the park. And we talked about how they can activate the back of their center to make it more like a front, and so that they can really capitalize on this new park that we're going to have here. And that'll help us to improve the quality of that community. This is sort of the little garden. The Culture Arts Committee has talked about having a sculpture garden within this area. We're the City of the Arts. Hopefully you've all been to the Performing Arts Center. We're embarking on a master plan for the arts for Costa Mesa. I know that Newport has one. We've looked at yours and we're going to share some of your ideas. We have concerts in the park. We have art venture and action arts in the park. We already talked about the smart camps. We have a home tour. We support our schools. We're open for business. We want to make sure there's a lot of Newport business owners who actually build or have their businesses in Costa Mesa. And we want to make sure that we're open for business. We are working very hard with our staff. We've identified, we have a map that you can go into planning and talk to them. We've identified everywhere in the city where you can build something or you can repurpose something, and it doesn't trigger any the Measure Y that would require a vote of the people. It allows us to really stay within the framework of our general plan and our specific plans without variances and without triggering what would be a citywide vote. And so we have a whole plan that the city planners have worked very hard. Dan Inlow's in the city planning department. He is a superstar. And he's worked real hard on finding the locations in the city where things will not trigger Measure Y, and you can still redevelop, repurpose, add a business there so that we can continue to progress in the city. And we have a couple of big sites coming up. TBN just sold, so they're looking at what to put there. We are encouraging them to do some kind of a civic-oriented use, a college, something that won't trigger a vote. We are discouraging them from building a bunch of housing there because that's going to be problematic for the residents all around. And we also have a variety of parcels off of Baker and Bristol that could be possible locations for a small boutique hotel. We'd really like to see some more hotels in the city because hotels generate significant amount of revenue, they're low impact, and they are low traffic impact. So we're trying to encourage people to do projects in the city that will not generate additional traffic, because none of us want to be stuck in traffic. So now also if you go to South Coast metro area, you can pick up a bus. If you work in that area, you could take the bus down to the camp and the lab, have lunch, get back on the bus. It runs every 20 minutes or something. That's starting this summer. So big exciting news, and then I'm going to wrap up the Chargers. The Chargers are now based in Costa Mesa. They're right off the 405 near IKEA, right next to the old LA Times building. They're in the process of building their facility there. They've already moved in half of their team into their corporate offices, and we're going to have they're going to do their training camp at what used to be called the Farm. Now it's the Jack Hammett Sports Complex. It's all the soccer fields next to Costa Mesa High School. How many of you have been there? So you can come this summer, starting in the first week of August, and they will be there training. They're going to have certain days that are going to be public days. You can go meet the players, much like they did at UCI for the Rams. They are a great organization for us to have in our city. They've already partnered with us in so many ways, given money to our schools, given money to our city programming. They just gave us $50,000 to buy a mobile rec mobile so we can take recreation into the neighborhoods. They're just a great community partner. And they're hiring. So go to teamworks.com on the NFL website, and they're hiring lots of interns, and they're hiring all kinds of staff. Half of their staff did not come with them, so they are in a major hiring frenzy. So if you know people, encourage them to work for the Chargers. They want local folks. So I'm gonna close here because we've kind of talked about a lot of these things. I'm gonna have to turn this off, Steve. But basically, we are moving forward in Costa Mesa, and we're trying to make sure that the city continues to be a great place for families to live. It's a working class neighborhoods, lots of working class neighborhoods. We want them to be quality neighborhoods. We want people to love living in Costa Mesa, and that's the pledge that we have for our community. I'll take questions.
Is the Banning Ranch part of yours?
The Banning Ranch is not. That's Newport. It's Newport, and it's, well, okay, so it's a little controversial because Costa Mesa, yes, we get all the traffic, but the development is actually in Newport Beach. It touches Costa Mesa at 16th Street, and so we don't have any authority or jurisdiction over what happens at Banning Ranch. Yeah.
We have time for about 2 more questions. Is Costa Mesa a sanctuary city?
Costa Mesa is, well, we don't have a sanctuary city status, no. Well, that's an official vote that someone takes. No, we have not done that.
Governor Brown.
The state of California is, but. Anyone else?
Questions? All right.
All right, thank you all for coming out. Thanks.
Well, it's pretty obvious that Costa Mesa is on the move and a lot of exciting things are happening. I feel like I would like to encourage the Newport Beach City Council to get hold of newportbeach.com rapidly, or Newport Beach and Company rapidly, and to pump a little more money into them so we can compete. I'd like to hear when you come back to us next time that you talk about going to one of the Newport Beach hotels for your retreat. But no, we're pleased, we're excited. You're a great neighbor, and we appreciate you taking time to come with us today. So now it's my duty to bring back Steve Rosansky.
We're hiring here too for a new moderator, but that's So I missed a couple of people I wanted to introduce my last go round, so I'll just quickly cover them. We have Sheridan Hurst and the DECA kids from Harbor High School this morning with us. That's been a good partnership with Harbor, as well as the FBLA kids from Corona Del Mar High School, which are also with us this morning, coming to our meetings and introducing them to business and important government officials like Katrina, as well as a lot of our own city people. So I'm glad that program is working well, and hopefully you're all welcome to come over the summer. I know you're not in school, but we'll still be here. And last but not least, Katrina mentioned her, but I'll mention her myself. Eileen Benjamin, my counterpart in Costa Mesa, Chamber of Commerce, is with us this morning. So just to quickly wrap up, we've got a whole great schedule of events coming up this month. First and foremost, we're also partnering here in Newport Beach with the Chargers organization, and they're going to be our sponsor tonight of our athletic awards dinner, where we honor the top 35 athletes from Corona Del Mar, Harbor, and Sage Hill schools. So that's going to be at the Radisson tonight. It's probably too late to sign up for that unless you really want to come. I'm sure we can make some space for you, but we got a couple hundred people coming out to that. June 6th, we have our Chamber Connect meeting. It's going to be at Rusty Pelican. That's a small group of 10 for networking for lunch. Also on June 6th, and from 5:30 to 6:30, we're going to have our Marine Committee meeting. We'll be having a discussion about businesses working together in the harbor over the summer. You know, you have hornblower ships going down the main channel, and you got paddleboarders cutting right in front of them and thinking that the ship is going to stop. Well, it won't. I guarantee it. Let's see what else. Oh, June 15th, we're going to, if you like this meeting, we have a little more intensive meeting of government affairs led by Rush Hill, our moderator this morning, where we get updates from all the local elected representatives, as well as we're going to have our speaker, who's our speaker? Laura Detweiler, our Parks and Recreation Department director. So she'll be there telling us about all the things going on. Parks, beaches, and recreation, actually, and the senior center over at Oasis as well. So she'll be covering that. That's another morning meeting. We meet 7:30 to 9 o'clock over at the Dunes right now, although we think we'll be probably moving that back to our new chamber office. What else do we have? June 21st is our, I can't even read my own handwriting here. June 21st, our business luncheon. That's right, over at the Bahia Corinthian Yacht Club. Our speaker, this is going to be a good one, actually, for really everybody in the audience here. Who wants to improve their credit score? Come on, who wants to improve their credit score? Everybody wants to improve their credit score. Dan Stone's going to be speaking, 10 ways to improve your credit score by 100 points. You know, I was in the mortgage business for a lot of years, Dan Stone, a lot of years, and believe me, these days you live and die by your credit score when you borrow money, whether it's to get a car, student loans, a mortgage for your home. I mean, your interest rates and things like that are directly related. Even getting jobs now, employers will pull your credit report to see if you're good at paying your bills and you're a responsible person. So improving your credit score is a great thing. That's a business lunch at the Bahia Corinthian Yacht Club. It's from 11:30 to 1:30 on June 21st. June 22nd, most of you know we've moved the chamber offices. We're going to have an open house at our new office over at 4343 Von Carmen. It's a beautiful facility, and the building is right on the lake there next to the Pacific Club. So we're going to have an outdoor event. You're all invited. It's going to be, like I said, an open house. There's no charge to come. It'll probably be from 4:30 to 6, but knowing how our successful barbecues in the parking lot used to go at our old facility, you'll probably go to 7:30, but hopefully you can make it out to that. Our next chamber mixer is actually a joint mixer with Costa Mesa. We're going to be in Costa Mesa at the Water Grill restaurant over there in the Arts District in the City of the Arts, across from the South Coast Plaza, South Coast Plaza, yeah. So we're going to be over there. We'll be spending some money, giving you guys some more sales tax revenue there in Costa Mesa. Happy to do it. And I think, oh, and then last but not least, July 6th, Wake Up Newport. We're having Kurt Kruger. He's the president of Concordia University, the first time we've ever had the president of Concordia visiting with us. He's going to be telling us about what programs and things that they're doing over there. So that's all I've got. It's a full schedule, as I said. Hopefully you can join us for something else. Thank you for coming out this morning. We'll see you soon. Thank you.